The Northwest Home for Paranormal. You're listening to U.S. Phenomenon with your host, Mario Magana.
From the Pacific Northwest in the shadow of the 1962 World's Fair, the Space Needle. Good evening. I'm your host, Mario Magana. This is U.S. Phenomenon. If you're a first-time watcher of the show, thanks for watching us. You can be a part of the show by texting the studio hotline at 775-990-5151. Tonight, we're going to pull out the Asteroid launcher. We're going to find out what happens when we launch an asteroid. Let's find out what is going to happen. Plus, we'll do open phone lines tonight. You can do so by sending a text at 775-990-5151, or you can call us at 775-990-5151. If you're watching on Twitch, welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome as well. Thank you for being a part of the show this evening. Just impromptu. I wanted to play around a little bit and get your opinion on what could possibly happen if we launched an asteroid. Let's talk about this. I mean, because we know that in today's society, that we know that NASA does their very best to, keep tabs on what's out there. But really, do they know what's out there? Do they really know what's coming our direction, or the near misses that we've had and people are still not? We find about it later in an article on some social blog, or even on a Facebook post or some social media post from one of the networks saying, oh, there was a near miss by, how many 10,000 miles or whatever the case may be. I think it's quite interesting that there still hasn't been a situation where we're able to shoot them out of the sky. Like back in the 80s, they had Star Wars, where they had a 747 that had the ability to shoot missiles out of the sky or out of space if they were on their way to hit, the United States during the Cold War days. In recent news, it looks like they are stopping the emergency for the COVID shot. Let's take a look at this. The COVID booster emergency use as being pulled. Not every vaccine has been granted the emergency use authorization, so some of them are going to get pulled. Now, which ones are still going to be around? According to the FDA, they have a full list on their website. So if you're interested to find out, go to their website at fda.gov. All right. Let's get into the piece where we talk about the launch. What would you do if you knew that there was an asteroid coming towards the United States? What would you do? Would you prep? I mean, chaos would ensue if this was to happen. Just straight chaos. People would be prepping for days if there was a significant amount of time that would be given, let's say, as a warning. Okay, we're gonna have one that's gonna launch and it's gonna land somewhere in the United States. But where? Let's say we have 3 weeks notice. What happens? What do you do? If you're out there listening, you want to be a part and you want to share your what you would do, let us know. Send us a call. You can call us 775-990-5151. We'd love to hear from you right now. If you think what would you do if you're in the middle of a situation where you're like, oh man, I know it's coming from my area? What would you do? Would you start prepping? Would you build yourself a bomb shelter underground if you knew the exact location of the said asteroid coming to said town? If it was coming to your town and you knew that it was going to hit in a proximity area, would you flee the area or would you take shelter underground? I don't know, man. I think I'd leave. I'd flee because when we're about to show, we'll definitely blow your mind for sure. Like you're gonna be like blown away by this. We need to pick a city, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna pick a city, and we're gonna pick an asteroid, and we're gonna launch it and see what happens when we set the said speed and the impact angle of the said asteroid. We'll just keep it basic. Just going to be an iron asteroid. Okay. The U.S. Phenom hotline is open. I'm opening it right now. 775-990-5151. We'd love to hear from you. If you, what would you do? All right. Give us a call or send us a text, 775-990-5151. If you're watching on Twitch, welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you as well. We look forward to hearing from you. All right. 775-990-5151. If you have, what would you do if you're out in the YouTube world or if you're watching on Twitch? What would you do in a said, let's say you knew that an asteroid was coming for your town. Right now, our hotline is open. I'd love to hear what you would do. Would you flee or would you prep? If you had a shelter, would you shelter in place in this bunker? Let's say you had a bunker bomb shelter, old school bunker that you built back in the day. And would you said take shelter if you knew an asteroid was coming for your town? 775-990-5151. Those who are watching on Twitch, welcome. Thank you very much. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome as well. We thank you for checking the show out this evening. Thank you for being a part of U.S. Phenomenon. You can go to our website. You can subscribe to the podcast by going to our website, usphenomenon.com or onairmario.com. Just click the subscribe button or the podcast button to subscribe to our podcast. You get the extended version that you typically don't get if you're watching the television experience, the stream experience. We're going to be taking your phone calls. If you knew that an asteroid was coming for your town, what would you do? For myself, I think here's what I would do. First of all, if I knew it was coming to Seattle, I myself would be taking, I would probably flee because most people don't understand the impact of this said asteroid would be. And we'll take a look at that here shortly. What this would have and as an impact to the zone, the impact zone, plus the flash zone, the winds. It is completely wild, depending on how big the asteroid is and how fast it hits that location. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch one. We're going to launch one in a couple towns, and we'll take a look and see how that plays out. Then would you flee? Would you stay? Or would you continue to flee? go to a said location where you knew you would be safe. All right, so let's pull up the asteroid launcher. Let's take a look at the asteroid launcher here. We want to do it probably this way. All right, here we go. So here's the asteroid launcher, right? And we're going to pick a town. Let's just say, for talking purposes, let's go to Washington. All right, let's go near Mount Rainier. It's not heavily populated near Mount Rainier. You got some rural cities out here. You got Bonnie Lake. You got Ordine. You have Eatonville. You have some outlining towns. You got some outlining. Enumclaw, Buckley, Black Diamond, as we zoom in here. And let's just pick a spot. Let's just say, for talking purposes, that this said asteroid is going to launch. We're going to launch it right here near Mount St. Helens. And we're going to do a diameter. Let's just say, for talking purposes, let's do 2,000 feet wide asteroid. And we're going to go at 38,000 miles an hour at a 45-degree angle of impact. Now, this area is typically not heavily populated, but there are towns around the area. And let's see what happens when we have said asteroid hit the area. Here we go. Now, we have an impact, which is 2.9 miles wide. This crater is 1,500 feet deep. The impact is significant. This asteroid is impacting at 37,000 miles an hour. Now, what would you do if you knew? Now, this is where it all comes into play. This impact is going to kill. There's going to be some loss of life. It says about one person would die, would vaporize, because of the area is not heavily populated. Now, this impact would have a fireball that is 11 miles wide. Now, let's zoom out of this a little bit, huh? Look at that. Look at the effect of this. Estimated 1.2 million people would die from the fireball. Now that you know this much, would you continue to stay in bunker if you lived in the area? I mean, look at the towns that are in. We're talking a population, 1.2 million people are going to die from the fireball, period. And the estimated 700,000 roughly are going to have third-degree burns. An estimated 1.1 million will have second-degree burns. Now, trees on the impact of this shock wave is going to be crazy. Look at that. I mean, we're talking, this is going to devastate. Another 50,000 people are going to die from the shock wave. Anyone within 34 miles will likely receive lung damage. Lung damage. I mean, if you're in Bonnie Lake, Buckley, Black Diamond, Auburn, Tacoma, Puyallup, South Hill, Spanaway, Eatonville, Packwood, all 44 miles around, your eardrums are going to erupt. Buildings within 76 miles will collapse. Homes within 102 miles are going to collapse as well. The speed of the winds is going to be 25,000 miles an hour. This is crazy to me. Now, the impact of this is just mind-blowing. Homes leveled, trees gone within 100 miles. This is going to produce an earthquake that is 6.3 magnitude. 74 people are going to die from that alone. Now, the question is, would you stay if you knew that there was going to be asteroid that hit outside of Mount Rainier. Would you stay? I don't know. I think I'm out. I'm out. The devastation in this area is going to be enormous. I mean, look at the fatality, 50% fatalities. Just mind blowing. And I thought this would be fun to do to see what would happen if an asteroid hit the area. We can launch them all day, all night long. And I thought this would be educational to see how devastating one would be, how this would play out. Now, if we move this said and we launched another one like in Seattle, it'd be a whole nother ball game. Life would be the life would just life would it would the devastation would just be devastating. I mean, even if you just put it anywhere within this area, we're talking massive life gone. Same parameters. I mean, we're talking 38,000 people are vaporized. Crazy to me. N- Now, now that we know, now that we've heard or seen what an asteroid could do for devastation, you're out. You got to go. Got to go to Eastern Washington or go somewhere else for a while. Because look at this impact as we zoom out here. Let's just go out a little bit. See what happens when we start moving down how we start moving. The fireball. We got almost 2 million people are going to die from the fireball. Blows my mind. Almost another 100,000 are going to die or have third-degree burns. Look at how far this goes out. I mean, this reaches is just devastating to the area. Shockwave alone itself is going to kill another million people. This would be devastating to the area. Another 800,000, almost another million people are going to die from just the sheer wind speed. So again, if you live in the area, what do you do? Do you leave? I mean, I'm out. You're like, you're going. I'm like, I'm taking refuge in Cle Elum. That's where I'm going. So we're going to do open phone lines as well. 775-990-5151. If you're watching, if you're hanging out this evening and you're watching via Twitch, or even maybe you're watching on the stream on YouTube, we'd love to hear from you this evening. 775-990-5151. The phone lines are open. Open phone line this evening will allow you to share your story. Maybe you got something. Maybe you've seen something. Maybe you've seen a UFO. Did you see the reports on social media recently of the what was it? I must have been the Star. I want to say Starlink, but it wasn't the Starlink. But it was Elon's it launched the other day where it looked like it was like almost like a spiral effect going on during one of the launches, and I believe this was in where was this at? This was in Hawaii, and the rocket had launched. Just amazing. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick here for you guys to take a look and see if we can find this here. See, this was captured off the tallest mountain in Hawaii. Let's see if I can bring this video in here real quick. Where was this at? Let's see here. When you're all by yourself and you're a one man band, sometimes you got to just roll with it. Sometimes. All right, let's see if we can find it here. Here it is. Check this out. This is courtesy of ABC. And did you get a chance to see this here? Oh, that's the one here. That's it. Let's see if we can. All right, you get a chance. Here we go. Let's see how this plays out here. Look at that. Wow, crazy stuff. Look at that. That was from the rocket launch. A video courtesy of YouTube and ABC News. Quite interesting. It's fun to see that kind of stuff. I mean, if I would have saw that, I definitely would have thought it was a could have been a spaceship to me. I would have thought it was a spaceship, to be honest with you. 775-990-5151. If you have open phone lines, we're doing open phone lines. Thank you if you're watching on Twitch. Let's see where we go here. Let's go to the text line here, 775-990-5151. Text coming in from Eatonville. Jeremy says he's fleeing. I think if I were you, Jeremy, yes, I definitely would be fleeing. Not 206. It is 775-990-5151. The text line and hotline, the U.S Phenom hotline is open. So you can text us or call us on that number, 775-990-5151. Open phone lines, open text lines as well. Also getting a text in from Amanda, who is listening. Where is this at? Hold on. I need to refresh this here. Amanda's listening and watching on the stream. Thank you, Amanda. She's in South Dakota. Okay. Well, thank you for watching this evening. Thank you for checking us out in South Dakota, watching. What would you do if you had one that hit near your town? Would you flee? Would you stay? She says that she's staying. They have a bunker bomb shelter that they would go and take their family. 2 kids, they said they have prepped and are ready for any disaster. Awesome. Good to know. I wonder what the implications would be, how long that this would happen, or how long would the recovery time be for something like this? That I'm not an expert at. So, interesting. Thank you, Amanda. Again, if you, what would you do if you were in a situation where you knew that an asteroid was coming to your town? Would you stay? Would you would you shelter in place if you had a bunker or whatever and had the food and the items prepped? Would you stay? Or would you go to a relative's house who's nearby to seek refuge or shelter so that after the asteroid hits, that you would go back to your hometown where the asteroid hit and start the recovery process? I can't even imagine how long that would take. I would believe that would be like the devastation of like Mount St. Helens erupting back in the 80s. Just can't even imagine what that would do, what that would look like as a town. And if they recorded that, something like that, what that would look like. I mean, cameras would be disintegrated in place. So I wonder how that would play out. Again, the phone lines are open. If you'd like to be a part of the show, open phone lines, 775-990-5151. Where are you at this evening? Love to give you a shout out. Love to hear from you this evening. If you're watching via Twitch or YouTube, welcome this evening, as we're doing something a little bit different for our exclusive YouTubers and Twitch viewers this evening. We're giving you an extra bonus show this evening where we're taking it to the streets or just trying something different out, giving our audience something a little extra this evening. Wanted to be able to sit down with you this evening and do this and go through what it would be like if an asteroid hit your town. Can you imagine what it would be like if an asteroid hit your town? I mean, your stuff would be gone. I mean, places would be leveled in your town. Now, if you had acreage or a house and you had a bomb shelter, would you stay there? Would you go and shelter in place? I think for me, since I live in the city, I think I would have to flee just because I don't have the resources to shelter in place in that type of situation. And I think it also, knowing how much would be forecasted in the projection models of where it was going to hit, I'm pretty sure they would have everyone known to mankind be gone, not to shelter in place. All right. If you're checking us out, let's see what we got here. Let's go to the text line here. Let's see who else is texting us. Roger in Puyallup, thank you for watching on YouTube this evening. Thank you for being a part. Roger says he's leaving and fleeing the Puyallup area just because he knows that that area is a flat land. Okay. It's good to know, Roger. Thank you for checking in with us this evening on YouTube. Thank you for watching on the YouTube channel. I appreciate that. Those who are watching on Twitch, welcome. Thank you for being a part of the show. If you've never heard of U.S. Phenomenon, here's what we are. We are a paranormal radio show where we take the headlines and we read through them. Not literally read through them, but look for hidden messages or things that would stand out. Why is that actually happening? Thinking about what is going on with today's news, what's going on. Maybe it's a UFO sighting. Maybe the government is talking about the JFK assassination. Is the government using the UFO to do the bait and switch? Like, look at this over here, look at this over here, versus what really is going on, what really is happening, and what's really going on out there in the world. If you want to be a part of the show, you can. The text line and phone line is open this evening. 206. It's not a 206. It is 775-990-5151. If you want to send us, let me know where you're at this evening. You want to shout out. Love to shout out our viewers this evening. Thank you to our Germany viewers for hanging out with us this evening and being a part of watching. And thank you for our listeners and as well as our podcast subscribers. So thank you if you're just watching us, because we're only exclusively doing this for YouTube and Twitch this evening. If you're out there watching and you're like, what is U.S. Phenomenon all about? Look, this all started back in the day when I was doing a radio show during the pandemic and had to step away from the microphone. And like any host, you don't want to step away from the microphone. So I built this radio show that was based at the beginning off of doing happy hours of the week. We'd go to these different establishments trying to drum up support for takeout during the pandemic. Well, every time we did these shows, it was interesting because somehow we would turn into something about the restaurant having some paranormal activity. And this happened multiple times at different locations. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. It just snapped and was like, hey, you need to switch this show. And that's when we became U.S. Phenomenon. Well, the show changed. Show name has changed, but now we call the show U.S. Phenomenon. But same basis, same concept. We're covering paranormal stories. Maybe it's conspiracy assassinations. Maybe it's government conspiracies. Anything goes. Try to leave the politics out, but sometimes they just inevitably get a part of the show. So that's how it all started. And as the moderator of U.S. Phenomenon, I try to just stay down the middle because I've never had an experience. I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen Bigfoot. I've never had those encounters. I've never had an out-of-body experience. I've never seen or heard an EVP. I've never had any of these types of experience. I think that's what makes me as a moderator so good, because I can just ask the questions that any skeptic would ask. Like, how is this possible? How did you see that? Where was this? Again, that's what U.S. Phenomenon is all about. As we continue doing the show, if you've not been a subscriber to the podcast, you can go to my website, onairmario.com, onairmario.com, and subscribe to the podcast. So it'll be a little podcast button. Subscribe. You're going to get the full extended version of the radio. Instead of, if you listen to the show on the radio, which we have 4 radio stations. If you're around the Western Washington area, send me a text. Love to know where you're from. To 775-990-5151. Not sure why I continue to try to give out my personal phone number. Not a good idea. Anyhow, 775-99051. You can text us or you can call that same number. If you want to shout out, or it's open phone lines, anything goes. If you got something that you'd want to share, maybe you've had an encounter, a UFO encounter, maybe you've seen a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, maybe you've seen a bat squatch, maybe you've had a paranormal experience or seen a phenomenon that you'd like to share with us. I'd love to hear from you. I mean, anything goes. All right. 775-990-5151. Let's check to see what's going on the text line here. Let's see. We're getting a couple more texts. Aubrey in Portland, Oregon. Thank you for watching via Twitch. Good evening, Twitch watcher. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening. She says she's had a ghost encounter staying at a hotel in downtown Portland at the Benson Hotel. See, I've heard this story before, and we've asked the Benson Hotel if we could do a show about this, but they typically don't like to talk about it because it is still an active hotel. And I get it, right? You're out there, they don't want to scare people away from staying at their established hotel. I still think that we should talk to them to see if we might be able to do a radio show in one of the haunted hotels or haunted rooms. All right. Thank you for texting us in. I appreciate that. 775-990-5151. If you have a text that you'd like to share, maybe you have a paranormal story, we'd love to hear from you this evening. Hello, Kate. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening and sending us a quick hello. Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you very much. Again, 775-990-5151. If you want to call us, we'd love to hear your paranormal story. If you want to text us, same number applies. It's scrolling right down there at the bottom. So welcome to all our Twitch watchers, everyone via Twitch. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening. We appreciate that. If you're watching us on YouTube as well, welcome to U.S. Phenomenon. Thank you very much. Now, as we get close, we'll wrap things up here shortly. But if you had the opportunity and you knew that your town was going to be hit by a said asteroid, what would you do? What would you do? Would you stay? Would you flee? I don't know that I would stay. I think I would have to go. It would. I would think so because I don't have a shelter. Where would I go? I mean, my place is going to be bombarded. It's going to be gone. Be gone. 2 sheets to the wind. It's going to be just a bunch of pickup sticks. You're going to be nothing left of my place. It'd be gone. Vaporized. Here we go again. Here, take a look at this. Here we go. Again, as we look at this, I mean, what this would do. I mean, we're talking about a crater that's 2.9 miles wide. I mean, Seattle is leveled. Let's zoom in on that. I mean, if you're in Seattle, everything is gone. 2 stadiums, the Pioneer Square core gone, downtown core gone, First Hill gone. Just look how big the devastation of that crater is. Central District, all the way out to the Central District, Leshai, Judkins Park. I mean, all these areas are just going to be one big crater. And I bet you water goes in there, I bet. Be my guess. Oh, wow. Just amazing. We're talking the impact of 23 gigatons of TNT. I mean, I can't even fathom that. Like how much TNT was Mount St. Helens? Let's see what it was. 26 megatons of TNT. 26 versus 23 gigatons. Mega, giga. Way different. Way different by the two. Doesn't even compare. It like makes Mount St. Helens look like a fart, like a light fluff compared to what would happen if this happened. Wow. Amazing. Just amazing. Let's do one more and then we'll wrap things up here from the Pacific Northwest. I don't know what happened there on my mic. Let's see here. Let's launch another one here. And let's go to New York. Let's just say that let's fly this bad boy to New York. Let's go to the other coast. Let's go to New York City. Let's see what happens here. All right, here we go. Let's launch one right here. See what happens. So we're talking about the same size crater in Manhattan, like a 245 vaporized in this thing. This is going to kill an 11-mile wide fireball, almost 8 million people, another million estimated to have second-degree burns, almost 2 million. The shockwave alone is going to kill another 5 million. 7. You're talking over 12 million affected by this impact if it was to hit New York City. Now, let's go all the way out, like how big this effect goes. $17 million people are going to be killed by the impact of something like this. And look at how far this goes. You're definitely fleeing. You can't stay. There's no way. I can't even imagine. Wow. 13 million people would be affected if an iron asteroid was to hit New York City, the New York area. All right, so let's go back to the text line here, 775-990-5151. Let me pull this up here. Let's pull up the text line here. Let's see what we got going on here. Tim is in. Where is Tim texting us from? Tim, hold on. Let me open this text up. Tim, thank you for texting. He's watching on Twitch. Thank you for watching on Twitch. We thank you very much. Like, subscribe, and follow, please. Tim is watching us from Arizona. Thank you, Tim. We appreciate your support this evening. 775-990-5151 is our text line. If you'd like to call in, open phone lines. Also, 775-990-5151. Because we're getting close to wrapping things up here in the Pacific Northwest. I'd like to thank you for taking a moment to hang out with us, watch, Subscribe and like and follow, please. That way we know that you're watching. And if you have a paranormal story that you would like to share with us, our text line is open 24/7. So maybe you're watching and we're not live anymore. Send us a text. We'd love to hear from you. All your information is kept confidential. We'll only use it to call you back if we want to use your story on air. All right. Part of our stream, our on-air broadcast, or even our TV stream as well for our Twitch and YouTube viewers. Okay, so we appreciate that. So, yes, if you want to be a part of the show and you're like, "Oh, I'm watching, but it's not live anymore," we're still going to take your texts and calls 24/7. The lines are always open, so you can always send us a text or call us at the phone number 775-990-5151. As we wrap things up from the Pacific Northwest, I'd like to thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for our texters who have called, sent us text messages this evening. We much appreciate your text. For those that are watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and follow. Leave us a comment. Maybe you have a paranormal story that you would like for us to cover. We'd love to cover it. Let us know. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Twitch followers, thank you so much. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitch as well. If you have you want to share your story with us, you can do so. Just send us a text or call us or leave a comment. We'd love to get back to you. All right. As we wrap things up from the Pacific Northwest, I'd like to thank all of you for being a part of the show this evening. As I normally would like to wrap things up, I like to say, be sure to look up at the sky. For my entire team, Jeff Jens, Mark Christopher, Sophia Magana, and myself, Mario Magana, be sure to look up at the sky because you never know what you might see. Good night.